We are launching a direct-to-consumer supplement brand and an accompanying e-commerce store.
Okay.
How about you go without the shirt at all?
Kan du være statist med reklame? Man tester forskellige budskab. Det her gør ligesom på, hvordan vi tester en annonce.
And I'm documenting the process from scratch, a classic built in public example. As an agency, we are best at helping brands scale from 10 to 100 million Danish crowns. But this is a test in going from 0 to 10 million. So it's a completely different skill set that it takes, that we're going to explore publicly and show you the thoughts behind how we're doing different kind of aspects of building this brand, building this e-commerce store. Our financial controller, Henrik, is not a fan of this project, and it's mainly due to his concerns about how we're allocating resources within our agency and how we work, which means that I can only spend the time building this brand, building this e-commerce store that I would have otherwise spent working on the marketing in labelless media. So this is going to be like the fundamental marketing machine for our agency as well, showing you how we would build an e-commerce brand from scratch. Henrik also gave me a budget of 2,000 euros, besides buying the stock, of course, which I'll use to do research and development in testing different products, samples, building a store, and everything that it takes to launch this brand. So these are the restrictions that I'm working with, and I'm trying to build this besides running the agency. And I have a Google Sheets where I'm noting all expenses that I'm reporting to Henrik. And if you work with us as an agency, don't worry, because the product we're going to launch is nothing that we have ever sold before.
Ay, I got the recipe, never gonna let any op get the best of me. Thought it was distance, but
So how are we going to approach the process of launching an e-commerce brand? Well, follow me into our gear room, and I will show you on a whiteboard and explain to you the phases that we're working with. But remember, this is work in progress, so things might change, but this is the current plan.
ay, I got the recipe, never gonna let any op get the best of me. Thought it was distance, but haters is next to me. Talk to the spirit, you know I've been.
So let me explain this. I've divided this process into three and a half, 4 steps. So it's going to be create, hype, launch. That's the 3 phases we're going to work with in launching the store. And then the 4th phase is called sell, and that's probably going to be a season 2 of this concept. So that's when we are up and running, and we're going to look into how we are actually running this brand. But for the creation and launch, we are working with 3 phases: create, hype, launch. So within these 3 phases, like, this is how we're going to work with this brand. So what we started with was saying, okay, when do we want to launch? So we want to launch in August, September-ish, and then we're going to backtrack from there. So before the launch, we'll have a hype session, and before we have anything to hype, we need to create something. So right now we're in the create phase, and this is how I'm currently working with the create phase. There will be a lot of different topics that overlap, and but actually I'm just going to show it to you, all these topics anyway, because that's actually how I've literally worked with it. I wrote down all these different types of themes that I have to fill out, and as I've progressed, I have bundled these themes into individual episodes on this channel. So for create, first of all, we have the positioning. We have like looking into where in this market can we actually position this product, where is there a gap that we can fill, and in doing so, which core audience are we actually catering to? Who are they? Not like not who's going to buy the product, obviously that we also thought of, but just as much which person are we going to, or which kind of character are we going to display that we can make people kind of aspire to be. So that's 2 elements that we're working with in the create phase. We also have something as simple as naming. There's going to be an episode on naming, and how you're naming, and how important and not important it is, and what is important in that process. And going into that, also the logo, how I can design a logo, and what's important, what's not important from a psychological perspective, also when you're working with logos. Then we have a whole like design phase, looking into obviously still logo design, but also packaging design, because that's going to be a very, very important part of this, and that I'm also going to dive deeper into in another episode. Then we have like product strategy in general, because then right now we're launching a single product in the beginning, but we already have a product strategy in regards to what kind of other products are going or can potentially be rolled out. And also something as simple as how we naming the product. Everything that goes into product strategy will have its own episode. Then we have very, very important part of creation, product sourcing. So we are sourcing, I'm going to source the product, actually I'm already sourcing the product, but I'm going to document the sourcing of the product, the samples we're getting, taste testing the samples, and everything in the sourcing phase. When we get the product, a finished sample of our own product, I will gather feedback on this product and iterate it from there. So this whole process is also going to be documented. And in the create phase, we have the last two parts, which is a mood board. A mood board, I think, is very, very important when you create a brand from scratch, something that way too many brands don't work with. But that's very important, and the mood board lies within actually the last point here, which is content strategy. So we're going to look at the overall content strategy on like a brand level, and that's an episode I especially look forward to because I have a lot for content strategy, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to divide it into different kind of themes and working also with mood boards within these themes in the content strategy. So different mood boards for different themes. Then after that, we'll enter the hype phase. So this will approximately take, I believe, like 3 or 4 months. And we're working in a time frame that's 8 months-ish. So 3 or 4 months, so that's half the time. Then we have the other half of the time to do the hype phase. So in the hype phase, we're going to work a lot with content, obviously. We're going to work with a lot of organic content. We're not going to work with paid content when we don't have anything to sell yet. So we're going to work a lot with organic content. We're going to work with TikTok and Reels. Again, this is something I'm very excited to dive deep into, because instantly when we were talking about doing this project, of course, the first thing I thought about was how's the content going to look organically when we're going to produce and push it. What's the concept? What's the production feel? So this is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to show you what we're working on. Then obviously in the hype phase, I'm also going to dive into building like a pre-launch website, the newsletter, sign-up flow, stuff like that. And then I've written like collaborations, events, influencers, and networks. So that's more like in the trenches, working with people to kind of make the hype. Historically, of course, we were still teenagers back then, but when Kasper and I had the Labels Gallery, the clothing brand, hyping up to a launch was something we did very poorly. In general, we were good at creating hype. Also, we were actually pretty good at executing events, pop-up shops, and stuff like that. But hyping up to an online launch was something we did very poorly. So that part I'm going to be very excited about, doing better here 10 years later. And then in August, September, we're going to launch. And when we are launching, obviously we'll roll out the whole launch strategy here. And we're going to dive into like building an e-commerce store, like a basic e-commerce store from a template, I guess, actually. We're going to look into paid ads, the paid ads setup, the content we're going to run in paid ads and why, how it's performing, the offer that we're working with. So how are we going to do this? Because we're working with a consumable product, which is going to be an interesting part in regards to crafting the offer. And also within the offer, we're actually going to work with messaging, obviously, what benefits and features are we going to play on, but also the finance part in it. So how are we creating the offer from a financial perspective? How are we like gearing up financially to create the perfect offer and wrap it into messaging? And that's going to be a very educational, I believe, for many people in regards to thinking marketing in more of a like holistic business perspective. And when we launched in August, September, we will enter the 4th phase, which is going to be sell, where we're going to be running the brand and dive more into like numbers, like just playing the data. What are we trying now? How's it working? But that's going to be in the fall. So for now, these are the 3 phases we're working with: create, hype, launch. But why are we doing this? It's not to create a new revenue stream. Quite the contrary, actually. It all came from a thought that when we're working with brands and they come and work with Labelless Media, they actually don't want to work with Labelless Media. Obviously, they do, but they want to work with us because we work with other successful brands. So they want to be like the other brands, and they can feel or almost become like those brands by proxy via Labelless Media. But why is it that we should only sell based on the brands that we work with? Why are we not selling based on the brand that we are ourselves? So this is a way to showcase our work as a 360 solution. How would a brand look if we could control every aspect of it? And if you think the brand is cool and the brand is performing well, we are actually selling everything that you're looking at. In the beginning, when we had the discussion whether or not to do this project, we actually discussed whether or not we should just play pretend or actually launch an e-commerce store. And obviously Henrik wanted us to just play pretend. But the thing is that if we only play pretend, we can't actually launch the brand and run the ads and show the performance of the ads. So this is also going to be like an ongoing live case study where we're going to give you all the information of running this e-commerce brand, showing you how we're producing the content, what the content would have costed, how we're creating ads, how the ads are performing, showing the profits, showing the return on ad spend, everything. We're going to give out all numbers, all data, because this is the biggest issue when working with other brands is that a lot of data is confidential. But here we're going to build in public. This is going to be a case study, ongoing case study, that we're going to share the data with you as much as possible, just to show everything that we possibly can to give value. So this is what we're working on. I'll update you here on the channel every 2 weeks with new insights. And right now, as you can see, we're in the create phase. So in the next video, I'm going to show you what supplement product we are launching and how we are working with brand positioning in a red ocean. Let me know in the comments if there are any information you would like for me to include. Remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Tell me what it's like to live with superpowers. I don't know, but I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I just know that I'ma get it. 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 I'ma get it.